podcast for you. We talk film, TV, both old and new. We discover new things, our taste get broader. So here's the show's host in no particular order. He's a little rough, he's a little caustic. Everybody knows him as the one and only toxic. From way up top, you'll find another the start. He forgot to press like when he used StreamYard. Stupenzolicious gonna judge you on your sense of cool by asking you what's your favorite Mexican food. You shouldn't tell secrets, but you know that he can. It's the Hollywood goss from the inside man. One by one, she sometimes drinks cappuccino. Everybody thinks he looks like Quentin Tarantino. So come on in and join the Nielsen ratings. It's a show that you've all been anticipating.
Anticipating indeed. Welcome. It's Tuesday night. It's a little bit past 10 o'clock. In fact, it's 11 minutes past 10 o'clock. Sorry for being late, but I had an important meeting in the eastern part of London, which, as you will know, is renowned for very good pubs. So I was a little bit delayed, but I'll get on to the reasons why in due course. Good to see a few of the regulars in the chat. We've got Rachel Percy-Art, who's going to be coming on the channel before the end of the month to talk about her artwork and so on. If you haven't checked it out, Google Rachel Percy-Art now. Some fantastic artwork on her website. We've got Rob Faulkner. I enjoyed the first two Bondsmen. It gives off a supernatural Constantine vibes. Let's see how it develops. 8 out of 10. We'll be getting into that shortly. We've got Aaron Charman in the chat. Axel Bodes is good. Leroy Peters is here. And I dare say one or two others as well. Don't forget, if you're a fellow creative, you haven't been on the channel yet, get in touch with me. Tell me what you got going on. Let me bring in my panelists, my regular Mexican friend, the number one tester of Mexican food, Stupenzo.
Yo.
How you doing?
Great.
Yo, what's going on?
Chilling.
Now, I'm still coughing. I'm still poorly. So if I die during the stream, you'll have to take over.
That's been the agreement since day one, dude.
Indeed.
Nothing has changed.
You heard it here first. Legally binding. Good week?
Yeah, just been chilling. I was in Oklahoma City for a few days, and it was the worst weather. It was cold and dreary, and it snowed the day we left. We did see a fight break out in the parking lot as we were leaving. It was some woman had blocked in a truck and was yelling at the guy in the truck who had like a woman in the passenger seat. And they were like, I can't believe, how long have you been doing this? I can't believe you're cheating on me. Like slapping him and shit. And, it was all snowing and it was weird. And then, of course, he tries to go to the car.
Your TikTok video of this or
no,
what's going on?
We didn't film it.
You didn't film it?
She did
that. That's a wasted opportunity.
No, I know. At one point, the woman gets out of the car and like slams the passenger door on the wife's arm, and then they almost start fighting in the parking lot. And then the guy goes to take the woman to the car, and at one point she starts screaming like, "No, get off me!" like to get attention, And then the guy turned on his car alarm, his truck alarm, and then next thing you know, there were a bunch of people standing out the front, looking at what the hell's going on. And then of course the lady just sped off. Very, very strange. But yeah, it must have been pretty sloppy, if she could track you down to the hotel, Do
you feel that tension could be representative of the leadership of the United States right now?
No.
Okay,
no,
we'll move on.
There's half of the country's freaking out and half the country is just eating popcorn and chilling, having the best time ever.
I prefer the eating popcorn and chilling version myself. Which is why we'll move on. I know you've got some fantastic choices lined up for us this evening. But before we get on to those,
Aaron Charman, the trucker was like a big, kind of handsome cowboy guy, tall. And it's funny because the woman, both women were the same. They were both slender, little brunette, dark haired. He has a type, I'm guessing.
Right.
That's kind of crazy.
It's really important to point out the trucker was a hunk. I mean, for those people watching.
The point is, he seemed well off. He had a nice new truck and stuff, and he's obviously able to rent hotel rooms on a whim. But But what's crazy is like, you find out your spouse is cheating on you. You'd hope that it'd be like someone radically different, not just like a fucking clone of you. You'd be like,
Yeah.
what's the point of cheating on me?
Well, maybe the original clone is not putting out. We'll get specialist knowledge on this from the inside man. Do you have any thoughts on this story?
No.
Okay, before he bursts into fits of giggles, let's bring in Northern English Bastard from Beyond the Northern Wall. How's it going?
Hello, you beautiful bastard. Yeah, I'm doing fine. Just getting a lot of stuff done at the moment. I've been very, very busy.
Well, mate, that broom cupboard isn't going to clean out itself. It's good that you got to that this week. I'm proud of you.
Yeah,
Excellent.
finally after procrastinating for way too long.
Okay, I did say we'd only have one person of sexual diversity on this stream, but Lord Toxic insisted on coming on. So how are you?
What up? How are you? I hope you like my outfit. I think I look stunning.
Yeah. I believe that's going to tie into a Miami Vice stream. Is that happening this Friday?
No, in 2 weeks.
Okay, good.
Friday's David Brent.
I'd quite like to be on that, but I think I've got an industry interview this Friday, I'm afraid.
Well, it's there in case you do get time.
Yeah, no, I definitely want to be on the Miami Vice one. Welcome. We've got 5 guests on tonight. I'm afraid that's our max for the Nielsen ratings. We've got quite a lot to get through, lots of interesting choices, new stuff to talk about. Last week, we talked about the new Tom Hardy, Pierce Brosnan, Helen Mirren show, which does appear to be taking the ratings in the country by storm, which is Mobland. I had just watched the first episode. A couple of my panelists had watched the first episode. The second episode is now out. I've seen some of the second episode, but then unfortunately I had the important professional task of going to the pub, so I was not able to finish the rest of episode 2, but I like what I've seen. Has anybody else seen the second episode yet?
Yes, I have.
Okay, what's your feeling on the consistency?
I think it's fine at the moment. It's like I said, it's still early to tell if the series will be really good, but I am kind of liking it. I do like Pierce Brosnan. I like Tom Hardy on it. Paddy Considine, I do really feel his family, and I won't give it away, but it is taking a really dark turn at the moment as well, which is going to really bring problems for this family.
Yeah. Okay, good. So sort of, I think we were all around the kind of 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 last week, from what I remember. Are you still kind of in a similar place?
Yeah, it's like I said, it's still early, but it's
so
not
far
too action packed, but it's not too slow either. I mean, I'm just hoping it doesn't drop the ball halfway through or before halfway through.
Yeah. Okay. Anyone else seen episode 2 yet?
No.
Anyone? Bueller? Anyone?
Bueller.
No. Okay. We'll move on. All right. Okay. Well, a new show that has dropped on Amazon, and all of it's available. I think there's 8 episodes altogether, and I think I've seen about 6 of them. Now, what's nice about this particular show is since Gene Hackman died, it stars my number 1 current living actor. I have followed this guy since his very early career days. I've probably seen almost everything, film and TV show, this guy has done. And that is our Lord Kevin Bacon. And of course, we interviewed actor Damon Herriman, who many people will know from his recent role in the Robbie Williams biopic as the band manager. But Damon Herriman in the cowboy hat seen on the right, just below Kevin Bacon's right shoulder from this perspective, left shoulder on the poster. He's in the show, and he was filming this when we were doing the interview with him. You can find it under the industry interviews section. He was able to talk to me about the show offline, but was able to say very little about it offline. I mean, he could only tell me he was working with Kevin and where he was filming, but nothing about the show itself. So I was very pleased to see the two of them collaborating, working together, because I 2 actors I really like. What's nice about it is it's a new show, so it's original content. I know we hate that word, but that's what it is. And I sort of was watching the first 10 minutes, and I thought, this is kind of cool. Quite liking this. Quite a different character for Kevin Bacon. And then Kevin Bacon's character gets killed, and I was thinking, what the fuck is happening? And it sort of devolves from there. And I think it really depends on a big factor of whether you're going to like this show or not. Really depends on, do you like things like Buffy, X-Files, those slightly supernatural, dark supernatural stuff. I could probably cite a few other shows that are in this milieu. I haven't seen the whole thing yet, and that genre, I will say, is not my favorite genre of TV shows. But props to Kevin Bacon. He delivers a solid, well thought through performance, in my opinion. The supporting cast are all pretty good. Not many weak links. I like some of the stuff that's happening with the story. There's some other stuff that I'm kind of like, yeah. So it's a bit hit and miss, but it's more hit than miss. I'm sort of jury's a bit out on my final rating because I haven't got to the end of the show yet. I'm sort of probably on the sort of 7 out of 10 level. Who on my panel, I know everyone's had a look at it, who on my panel has seen the whole thing?
I have.
Hey.
Okay, so that was Northern and Stupenzolicious. Is that right?
Toxic.
I haven't watched any of it.
Oh, Stupenzolicious not. I'm always glad that my co-host takes pride in watching nothing that I recommend. So Northern, give me your thoughts on the show.
I think it's okay. I don't think it tops any of the other shows about people taking on the forces of evil, of the supernatural kind, that kind of thing, because I think even though Kevin Bacon starts off as a bit of an arsehole who kind of sort of redeems himself a little bit before doing something very questionable at the end, which I'm sure a lot of people have probably...
No spoilers, please.
Yeah, no, I'm not going to spoil it. Once again, he does do very well. Damon Herriman is good, even though I thought his character got a little bit wasted in the final, which once again I won't spoil. But I do like the actress who plays his mother. She is very good. I really like her, and it's good to sort of see an old conservative Christian sort of portrayed in a very good light and not as a total stereotypical racist nutbag. But I thought the demons possessing people, because they use different elements like fire, air, and I really wish they could have gone a bit more creative with them, because when they're possessed, they're just kind of grey, they've got the flashing eyes, and that's it. I mean, if you're having one who's possessed by a fire demon, all right, have their skin sort of like burnt to a crisp and fire sprouting out of them, or the bits of lava coming out of them, something like that. That would have been really cool. Or something like water, like that Doctor Who episode, The Waters of Mars, where they get possessed by these aliens that start sprouting water out of them. Something like that. That would have been really cool and distinguished them, because when you get stuff like Ash vs. Evil Dead or Buffy, most of the different demons that come across are very creative and very memorable. Like in Ash vs. Evil Dead, you had the demon that had the exposed gums and everything and the torn skin, and it was really gross. And Buffy had different demons that was kind of like the gentleman, the smiling gentleman that never said anything and they steal your voice, something like that. And we never got that with any of the possessed demons here. They still look the same when people were possessed, but we still get some good gruesome deaths and there were some funny moments. But I think it's just an okay shot. But if we do get a second series, I'm really hoping they go all out a bit more.
Is it an okay show that's elevated above average because of the presence of our Lord Bacon?
Yeah, the cast kind of make it. It's not even Kevin Bacon's best performance as well, but he does okay in it, despite the fact he's probably playing someone who's like 10 years younger than how old he is now.
Yeah. Okay. Toxic, you've seen it. Give me your thoughts.
Yeah. It's down to that usual thing where, because I didn't think that I was going to like it, I liked it more, if that makes any kind of sense to you. Like, I didn't know what was going on. I don't remember who turned me on. Somebody in our group told me to check it out, and it did drop on my Plex Pass. So I said, okay, let me look. And then I immediately was I was like, oh, what a blatant ripoff of Brimstone. Like, it's the whole plot of Brimstone from 1998. And I was such a fan of that show. I was so mad. And I'm like, well, I'm going to watch it so that I can talk shit about it. And then I saw Damon Harriman was in it. And, I love him and everything that he's in. And, of course, he elevates it. And he was very good. And yeah, I mean, in the episodes are super short, and I binged.
They are quite short. Yeah, they're pretty tight, aren't they? They're quite tight.
Yeah, easy binge. I like it. Easy binge.
Easy binge. Yeah, definitely an easy binge, and I like that. I think that's a cool way to do it, especially for this genre. So, I thought it, and and if I'm being honest, as mad as I was about them ripping off Brimstone's premise, they do it better than Brimstone. So if you're gonna steal, and at least steal and improve, so it's not like a watered down version. And I guess that's down to this show has a lot more fun with itself than Brimstone is very serious, except for the guy that played the devil, who also plays I guess he was on Smallville as Luther's father. What was his name?
John Glover. He's always good.
John Glover's always great. He was great in it, and I would have liked to have had something like that, but I have to admit the Bondsman does it better. So I'll leave it at that. It's a heavy recommend for me.
Okay, have you got a rating out of 10?
10 out of 10.
Oh,
Wow.
nice.
Really?
And,
That's fine.
listen,
Inside Man, did you catch any of it, even the pilot?
I did, yeah.
Give me your
I've
thoughts.
got to be honest with you.
Here it comes. Here it comes.
I mean, I think everybody has pretty much said what I wanted to say, which was it has been done before. I mean, we have seen this served up several times before. I mean, Darren Harriman's good. This is definitely, I'm going to add this little pun in, a very different bacon roll.
It was funny yesterday.
I squeezed that in there.
I don't get why that's a is that a British thing that I don't know?
It's
like a bacon sandwich.
Yeah.
It's not gay enough for you. Move on.
Bacon roll.
But it's okay. It's serviceable. It does what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't really blow my mind, to be honest. And I would probably give it, so far, I mean, I've only seen 2 episodes, so I'd give it a 4, to be honest with you.
Holy shit!
Sorry about that.
Damn, that's low. Come on, man.
Mahler.
Kevin
I mean,
Bacon's
Inside Man.
presence is 5 points alone. You can't give it a 4. The Bacon automatically brings 5 to any production.
Yeah. I mean,
Wow.
Kevin Bacon, the God Emperor Kevin Bacon, peace be upon him. He's really good in it, but and it is different for him. It's just not my bag. It just isn't my bag.
I did hear that they had like an Italian producer that has done some Italian movies or something. Does that help? Or
Yeah.
Look.
Does that elevate it another 4 points? And
You can't sweet talk me like that.
mate, there's an Italian grape scene in episode 8. Does that bump it up to 9? Okay. Well, look, for those people that haven't seen it, it's definitely not. It's not a boring watch. It's quite well done. It's quite well scripted. It's very well shot. A lot of fun. Kevin Bacon is having terrific fun in the role. He's good in the role. I mean, you'd expect nothing less. He doesn't look so good in this picture, I have to say.
Bacon is always good in a role.
Yeah. Boom, boom.
okay, I get it. That's hilarious. That's great.
Yeah.
I've not exhausted. I haven't exhausted that one yet. So prepare yourself.
I am. There are 15 people watching. We just lost one. Tell us, what are your ratings out of 10 in the chat? Good to see you, Critter Kingsford. I think you're due to come on my channel pretty soon. So good to see you in the chat. Let us know your ratings out of 10. If you're including brown sauce, please add a point. We're back up to 16. That person must have come back. But more bacon quiche, 7 out of 10 from Gary Bando Sandwich Worthington. Rob Faulkner says,
Don't go big in my heart.
Yeah. Leroy Peters is not interested in the Bondsman. Leroy, if you dethrone the Kevin Bacon, don't expect to come back on this channel with such talk. Okay. 6 out of 10 from DJ Play Nice. Okay. Remind people again, Kevin Bacon is my number one favorite actor. It was Gene, well, living. I mean, my favorite actor of all time is Gene Hackman.
Hey, what's green and smells like bacon?
I dare to ask.
Don't tell me it wouldn't be Kermit's middle finger, would it?
It is.
Oh dear. Okay, well, that's probably a good cue to move on. There's Damon Herriman. He's great in this. There is an interview with Damon Herriman on the channel. Go and check it out. I think it's industry interview. I think it's in the 90s somewhere. It might be like 91 or 92. Yeah, do check it out. It's a great interview. Okay. All right. So we're going to move on then. We've got some interesting other choices. Now, one of the shows that has hit Netflix recently was previously available on Paramount Plus. Had a lot of money spent on it. You could call it a second season in a way, because we had the show 1883, which I really liked. Was sort of recommending it to a lot of people when it came out. And then we had 1923, which is now much more widely available because it's on YouTube. Super chat from Lost for Words. Lost for Words has paid for a super sticker. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it. Might not seem like a lot of money, but most of us don't have any. So I do appreciate anything. I will be talking about the House of David later, Leroy. But if you hadn't defamed Kevin Bacon, I might have had you on to talk about that. So, yeah, 1923. This is the sequel to 1883. Stars Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren. It's a Yellowstone universe. This is really the kind of this season is the dying of the Old West. A bit like Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. It's the rise of the motor car. Yep. It's the death of the horse. That's exactly what this poster says, and that's really summarized in a scene, which I think is a brilliant scene, and it's a brilliant piece of production. This scene, where they ride into town to go and conduct some business that you have to do in town. And these are people that live on farms, on ranches, and so on. And Harrison Ford arrives outside. I think it's the bank or somewhere like that.
The bank.
And he's like, "Where's the hitching post?"
Yeah.
In other words, the posts to hitch the horses to keep them there, a bit like a bike shed, have been removed because people are now using cars, and horses are going out of fashion. It's funny that when I was growing up in the 1970s as a kid, it was infrequent, but it was not uncommon to see what we called the rag and bone man came down my street, still with a horse. Yeah, it was a horse and cart to collect, stuff that you wanted to throw away, like old bedsteads and this sort of thing.
And
you have that as well inside, man.
Yeah, I mean, because I'm originally from the East End of London, so they were, all over the place. So you'd either give them your old stuff, and they'd give you a couple of pennies, literally just a couple of pennies, or they'd try and give you some other old shit that they've got on their cart
that they don't want. Yeah.
So like a load of broken crockery or something, which is fucking useless.
Yeah. I remember we would be straight down to the sweet shop with those pennies, which back in the day would bring you back a pretty hefty bag of sweets.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just a little tincture older than you, so I remember spending the big pennies, and
He remembers the
I'm
farthings.
kind of pre-decimal, so I remember spending farthings and sixpences and tanners and half crowns and shillings and all that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
I used to get 4 sweets for a penny, so they're a farthing each.
There you
So
go.
there you go.
A time
That's
that
how
I
old
was.
I am.
It was a time that I was not born into, but that Inside Man and Toxic remember well.
Speaking
So,
of which,
yeah.
Lance, I've got a video I did on it down below. You can play. I think it's okay, and just mute it, whatever, if you want. And then there's slides down below if you want to use them completely for both of these for this topic, if you'd like.
This is for 1923, I take it.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So you picked this. I mean, you know, I rate this show very highly. I have talked about it on the channel before. I've actually got the Blu-ray box set. I think it was the last Blu-ray box set that I purchased.
Nice.
And again, it's from the stable of.
Do they have like director commentary and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's some extras and stuff. So this is from the stable of Taylor Sheridan again, of course. We've talked about him many times on the channel. I think we're going to do a Taylor Sheridan special at some point where we kind of just talk about his shows and indeed his films, because he has done some films as well. So, yeah, I mean, were you a fan of 1883 as well?
I was, yeah. I thought it was very well done, and they wrapped it up very neatly. I actually accidentally watched them in order. I know Yellowstone's been out for a while, but I was busy being a guest of the state of Florida for a little while, so I missed almost all of the first 3 or 4 seasons of Yellowstone. So I just I got Paramount Plus back in 2021 and just watched 1883, not knowing they were related at first. And then so then I just watched them in order. And well, I mean, as in order as you can, you know. So but yeah, no, and I which was a pretty cool way to do it. If you, I mean, it's not always possible, but yeah, no, I think it, and I rate the shit out of this. I mean, it's been there. I know that there's a lot of controversy right now, a lot of backlash against the show. So,
is there for what, on what basis? I'm not familiar with that actually.
There's a lot of pearl clutching. Well, maybe not in the UK. I don't know, but there's a lot of pearl clutching on social media that the stuff with Timothy Dalton is too, you know, out there and way too much essay and violence against women, and they shouldn't show it. And then of course the obvious, which is all of this season was, you know, leading to the culmination of the last episode, which was 2 hours. So in that way, people were getting pissy, and because it didn't wrap it up in a nice bow, and because it wasn't a happy ending, everyone's getting fussy, and there's this whole hashtag, you know, unalive Taylor Sheridan going around on
what?
Yeah.
I have to say I'm completely unaware of that. I thought Timothy Dalton's character was genius and actually gutsy, and we hadn't seen a character like that for a while. And actually that was something for me that was a massive plus. I mean, yeah, his character is a sadist, as Rachel points out. I mean, you know, what are we trying to say? That all people back then were great. And Leroy hated that character, which means you know the show is working. So
absolutely right.
I mean, you're not. Yeah, it's a lot of. Go ahead.
Well, I thought there was going to be another season after this. I'll be honest. I thought we were going to get like a 1931, and we were going to pick everything up.
No, we're going to 1944 next.
Oh,
right. So yes, there is quite a lot of unresolved stuff. Then
is that okay for me to say, or should you want me to shut up about that?
No, I think we should keep that open for people that haven't seen it. You've got a Toxic Recommends video on this. That's the Toxic stamp of approval, so people can find that on your channel, right?
Yes, sir.
Why don't you drop that in the chat, because I think you're a mod. You can do that.
Okay.
I don't want to spend too long on this because I want to jump on to Stupenzo's picks for the day, because he's got to go shortly.
Yeah.
But I mean, the thing I liked about 1883 and the thing I liked about 1993 was the strengths were that they both had really good casting. The period detail, production design, art direction, that kind of stuff was all really top notch. Great music, incredible photography. there was a lot of kind of, I mean, the thing that both seasons had in common was they both had very strong female characters at their center. I didn't have a problem with that. There was definitely some box ticking going on, but it was box ticking done in the right way, not at the expense of the show. I did think that the whole side plot of the son trying to get back to America in 1923 was bollocks. I have to admit, this whole thing with this ghost ship that was unmanned, I didn't care about any of that stuff. It's like, get me back to Harrison Ford. What's happening at home? I really didn't care about those characters. I didn't care about the girl. I found her very annoying. So I felt 1923 did have a major Achilles heel, and for me, that was it.
Okay.
Did you like that subplot?
I was a little frustrated with everybody else, but I knew that they were wrapping it up with the second season. I know what the overall plan is, so I don't need a happy ending. You know me.
That's your show. What's going on?
Well, there's pictures and slides and all kinds of stuff on there at the video.
Right.
You could mute it if you want to play it so it's in the background. But
I mean, I definitely would mute it. That would be not optional.
Yeah. So what was I going to say? So yeah, no, I don't mind it. It's I don't know what these people were expecting. They act as if they've never seen Yellowstone or 1883 or Hell or High Water or Sicario. None of these are happy movies. None of these are happy shows. I don't know what they were trying to, what they thought they were going to get out of this, or it's just the usual grumbling from it. But this whole hashtag, KILL Taylor Sheridan is ridiculous. It's really silly. It's so crazy. And this whole calling him a misogynist because all of his main characters are women. He's got all these women, these powerful women. The MVP of the finale was Helen Mirren. God bless, she was so great.
These are the kinds of people that are unable to distinguish between fantasy and reality. They're unable to fathom that there is a demarcation line between any form of fiction and real life. So the problem is them. It's not anybody who writes this stuff. I mean, these are entertainers. That's all they are. If they can't figure that out in their heads.
The same pearl clutching and the same fussing with 1883 and its ending. And then of course, I can kind of, I did a video on Yellowstone, and I did think the end of Yellowstone went a little off the rails, but it may be rushed, and he does have a lot of things going on as well, and that's fine. He's got 6-7 different shows. I mean, he pretty much runs the entirety of Paramount Plus, and that's fine. But it's just, it's really extreme. Like, don't even go to TikTok or the YouTube Reels or Instagram or any of that stuff, because man, they are really out of pocket.
I mean, it's utterly bonkers. I mean, you know who these people are, don't you? These are the people who are sitting there thinking, "Oh my God, I haven't been given a message." Yeah,
no, facts. But I thought but it does in fact have a great message. All of the women are very well represented. I think.
I agree.
I would think the one side plot line of Chief Rainwater's grandmother, I think that was a little bit unbelievable, but it's fine. It didn't completely pull me out of the story. I mean, I get it. I'm interested to see what she's going to do in the next series. So, and she's a great actress. Everybody's great. R.I.P. Cole brings plenty from here in Lawrence, Kansas, where I'm from. I was very saddened to see, but I guess they had to, of course, write him out because of real world events. I thought Harrison Ford, who I actually don't think a lot of his early 80s roles, I think he kind of phones a lot of stuff in, and he just kind of, this one, he actually showed a lot of life. Robert Patrick is great. But again, Helen Mirren is the real MVP. I can't pronounce his name, but the one that plays the main character, Spencer, Brandon something or other. He's great. And I think it was smart to do a 2-hour series finale. And I'm excited to see what they do next.
All right. Well, we're going to move on.
Yep.
But I would give 1923 a 9 out of 10 despite its flaws. Stupenzo?
I haven't seen 1923.
Sorry,
I
not
haven't. I think I've,
Toxic. What would your rating be? And Stupenzo are about to come to you.
I agree not only with the rating but with the assessment. 9 out of 10, even with its flaws.
Very good. Okay, so Stupenzo.
right.
So-
I just I got a notification in the middle of this that I got to go somewhere before 6. But
you've
I've
gotta
been
go
out
and
of
sample
town
some
for
Mexican food. We know.
Yeah, I've been out of town for almost 2 weeks. Should be back home next week. So but I should
Alright.
recommend a few things. Go spend a few days in a hotel in Oklahoma and have my computer with me. And I don't know why. I think I know exactly why. Someone had recommended I watch the movie Ghost Dog, and I was like, bro, that was like one of the first DVDs I ever bought. It's actually really good. They were recommending me I watched Ghost Dog because it looked like it was stupid. And I'm like, no, Ghost Dog rules. And it was like one of the first DVDs I ever bought. And for some reason, I just got on this kick where I was going to watch some some of the first DVDs I ever bought again, like some of those movies from like 1999, 2000. So that was fun. And I also watched a couple new things. So I'm going to recommend.
Are you talking about Ghost Dog Way of the Samurai?
Yes. Yeah, I like that movie. Jim Jarmusch, one of Jim Jarmusch's best and one of Forrest Whitaker's best performances. But anyway, I'll talk about that maybe next week. But
I mean, well, you've brought it up, so we'll talk about it now. I saw this film at the cinema. In fact, it's got the cool, the girl. There's like a young black girl. Didn't she go on to become like a pretty famous actress?
I don't know. The young girl, the little girl with the books.
Yeah.
Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised. I rewatched it, and I hadn't seen it in like 10 years, and you know what? It still holds up. It starts off a little silly. But I don't know, man. It is unironically funny too. There's a lot of this whole scene was hilarious on purpose. And I was just reading some great trivia about it. Yeah,
these guys have all played mobsters and other things as well, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and the whole idea about these like Italian mafiosos. It's interesting because this movie came out like a couple months after the season premiere of The Sopranos, and it's crazy how close they were. Because like this idea, I love this idea that like these are mobsters in New Jersey, but they're not. It is not a glamorous life. Like they all got like for sale signs in front of their house. They're like hang out, they're like 3 months behind the rent, they're like they're not really banking it. But yeah, Ghost Dog's basically this like weird hitman who basically is like just like a weird kind of crazy autist who's like obsessed with samurai. But it actually works for his benefit. And I don't know, it's just a great movie, but definitely recommend Ghost Dog. I mean, that's like a good solid 8 out of 10. It's one of Jim Jarmusch's best movies, and it's like very different from everything else he's done. It's kind of an action movie. It's like got a hip hop, urban black culture vibe. Jim Jarmusch is like one of the, weirdest like little white guys ever. He's made some very strange movies like Mystery Train and Coffee and Cigarettes. But I love Dead Man with Johnny Depp. That's a great one. But yeah, I don't know, man. This movie's great. But I also, I don't know. I watched another really, really good movie that was new. It's got John Lithgow and Jeffrey Rush, and it's called the Rule of Jenny Penn. And dude, it is some great freaky psychological horror. About Jeffrey Rush plays a judge, and he has like a stroke or something, and now he's in like a elderly home. He's infirmed in a wheelchair. And he's got talking about how, when I get better, I'm going to get out of this place. And it seems like you're not. It's very like, it's like body horror, kind of like you, except, the body horror is just you getting old. It's very poignant about like the elderly and elderly abuse and all that stuff, because what it's about is John Lithgow. He's amazing in this movie. He's basically this crazy guy who has this little baby doll puppet he uses. And he basically terrorizes all the residents, and he's been there for years and years and years, and he's insane. And it's really twisted movie about Jeffrey Rush being tormented by this guy at this old folks home. And it is twisted, man.
John Lithgow is currently on stage in the West End of London.
Yeah, John Lithgow also has this really great like dental appliance. So he's got these weird like crooked front teeth that look really freaky, and he's got like blue contacts, and he speaks in like an Australian or English accent, and he's very good in this one.
I've worked with both of those gentlemen, actually. I've worked with both Jeffrey Rush and John Lithgow.
I think
Yeah,
this
what
is
do
an
you think?
Australian
Very,
or
very
New
nice.
Zealand movie because Jeffrey Rush is in it, and it takes place in I think New Zealand or Australia. I think New Zealand because like Jeffrey Rush's roommate is this like Maori. How do you say that?
Maori.
Yeah, Maori.
Yeah, Maori guy. So he's like also there, and he's I mean, the first time he gets terrorized by John Lithgow, he tells his roommate, like, say something. And he's like, I didn't see anything, and that's how he knows something's weird going on,
Right.
It's twisted, bro. I don't want to get into any of the specifics. It's not too hardcore or anything. It's very, like I said, psychological. But dude, it's dark and kind of funny if you're a sick individual. But yeah, if you're not finding it funny, it's definitely terrifying.
Well, John Lithgow is currently playing, I think it's Ronald Dahl in a sort of
Nice.
biopic about Ronald Dahl's life on the London stage, which I really feel like me and the Inside Man should go and see.
Hey, bullshit.
Something else this movie really takes advantage of is the fact that it really uses, because John Lithgow is a big guy, and
He is
they
a big guy.
use that to the film's advantage, because he's a huge guy, he's very terrifying and menacing. You do not want to wake up in the middle of the night and have John Lithgow with a little baby doll in your room just watching you sleep.
Yeah, that sounds genuinely quite terrifying to
It's
me.
freaky, bro. It's good.
Yeah, I've
What would you
actually
give it-
just seen
what
the
would you give
trailer
it
of
out-
this on YouTube. It does look creepy, and I don't. Is it out already then?
I did manage to catch a copy of it out on the in the airwaves.
What would you give it out of 10?
I give it a good solid 8.5. I
Okay.
mean, it's just a very effective, low budget movie. But I mean, I guess you get what happens when you get two powerhouse actors in the roles.
Mm.
Because I mean, this movie is it's mostly just takes place in an old folks' home. There's not a lot of special effects or nothing, and you could have easily cast like two unknowns, and had a much smaller film. But now, I mean, these guys are great.
Okay.
It's Jeffrey Rush
You've
not
also
playing a
seen I Married a Strange Person.
Well, before I talk about that, I did watch another new movie that was also about relationships. That Steven Soderbergh film, Black Bag, which I think Toxic saw also. But yeah, Black Bag was awesome. Steven Soderbergh. I was also a big fan of Presence, which came out earlier this year, also written by David Coop. They're both written by David Coop, and they're both directed by Steven Soderbergh. This film, however, definitely looked way more like professional. It's just one of those great examples of why Steven Soderbergh is like an excellent cinematographer. But yeah, this movie was like a quaint little kind of interesting spy thriller. But really, it's like a movie about marriage and relationships and partners and gossip amongst couples, kind of thing. But it's all like the secret spy, double crossing treason type story. But thematically, it's all about spousals mistrusting spouses and stuff. It was kind of like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but without all the bombastic action and stupidity.
It's interesting that Steve Soderbergh is his own DOP.
No, yeah, that's what he's often holding the camera himself.
Yeah, he's often credited under the name Steve Andrews. Yeah, even on his own films sometimes.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, I
well,
guess,
and there's something going on with Steven Soderbergh where like he was doing this very like handheld fluid camera thing, like with his earlier films like Traffic and Sex, Lies, and Videotape. But then he did Solaris, and that's when he did like the very like still cameras, like tripods, just framing these shots a certain way. And sometimes he does the fluid handheld camera stuff, the cinema stuff, and then sometimes he does these more like reserved camera angles, and that's kind of what he's doing in this one. But it's just great. He has such great like use of headroom, and this movie's got this awesome like haze and this kind of film grain going on and this glow. The story's like pretty like it's kind of like convoluted, not convoluted, but a little what the hell's going on here type movie. But once it starts kicking off, you start to realize what's going on. What really shines are these like performances of these various actors. There's like an awesome like lie detector polygraph scene, and this one girl, I can't remember her name, she's like one of these other actresses in the movie. She kind of steals the show in this like polygraph scene. But yeah, I mean, basically there's something going on where Fassbender and Kate Blanchett are both kind of like spies, and they both live together. It's like Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but they know they're spies and they work together, but it's very secretive about where they're going. It's the black bag situation. Like, where are you going? Black bag can't tell you, but Michael Fassbender starts receiving information that his wife is might be involved in some kind of treasonous plot. So he's kind of digging in and figuring out what's going on, and the mystery starts to unravel, and it's very cool. You got the girl from 28 Days Later. There's also Pierce Brosnan's in it. He's great. He's only in a couple scenes, but he's like the big guy in charge.
Well, I mean, Naomi Harris also played Miss Moneypenny, so there's another James Bond connection.
There you go. Yeah, it was a fun movie. Just a fun. I don't know. It's like a very dialogue driven. There's a few gunshots and an explosion here and there, but it's mostly just a bunch of like plotting and backstabbing, stuff like that. It's really fun.
What would you give it out of 10?
Yeah, I'd give it a good 8 out of 10. It's one of those things where you might have to power through it. Like, there might be a 20-30 minute mark where you're like, I'm not sure about this movie. Power through it. It's definitely got some very memorable scenes.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, because of spousals and stuff, that's kind of what I revisited one of my favorite movies growing up. It was like one of the first movies I bought on DVD. And I don't think a lot of people have seen it, but it's Bill Plimpton's 1997 masterpiece called I Married a Strange Person. And for those of you who don't know, you would see Bill Plimpton's art style, and you would definitely recognize it from the various short films and commercials he's done, and various little meme kind of shorts. But this is like one of the few times he made a feature length film, and it's very impressive because he pretty much like, he has a few cell shade paint. He's got a few like painters. Cell painting artist that he uses and a cinematographer and stuff, but he's largely drawing pretty much everything. So an animated movie animated by one person using primarily colored pencils and watercolors. It's pretty impressive. And it's just a wild movie about how, on the surface, it's about a guy who gets crazy mind powers from a TV beam that blasts him in the back of the neck. So basically anything he imagines kind of manifests in the real world, and it's very kooky, but it's just overall just a very fun movie about, seeing the imperfections in your partner or spouse and loving them anyway. But it's a wild, fun movie, and it's very risque. It's very sexual. It's very hilarious and violent and ridiculous. It's just over the top. And it's a fun one. So if you guys haven't seen it, he's great. That old guy's grabbing that woman's boobs, and she says, "They're not up there anymore." It's a very funny movie. It's a funny movie. But I'm shocked a lot of people haven't heard of it or seen it, and it's one of those movies I think needs to get a lot more credit. I give it like a 9 out of 10. I mean, it is silly, and the plot, you kind of feel like, Bill Plimpton's losing steam animating it in the final act, but the final act definitely pulls all the punches with like the largeness and scope of it all, but it's fun.
Okay, I like the dive bombing bird here.
Yeah, he's about to dive bomb another female bird and have graphic sexual intercourse with horrific bird sex sounds.
No wonder he looks excited. What would you give this out of 10?
Like a 9 out of 10. This is a fun, stupid movie. Oh yeah, he's having sex with his wife, and he makes her like keep changing. She's like becomes the banana boat lady. She becomes the Statue of Liberty. There's some great little original songs in the movie too. How'd you get so cute? And would you love me? Would you love me if I blew up a deli, had a great big belly, became real smelly? Would you love me if I wore a tutu on a kangaroo with a beehive hairdo? Would you love me if I put a big rock in the toe of your sock and forced you to walk?
You heard it here first. On
Fun
Nielsen
movie.
rating.
Definitely recommend it. So yeah. So on that note, guys, I do have to bounce out here suddenly. And
well,
okay.
I mean, what a way to go out, including a song. well.
Yeah, I would
Enjoy.
recommend tomorrow. We've got a premiere for a full-length commentary movie that is one of the most incoherent movies I've ever watched. I've never seen it before. It's fitting the whole dinosaur movie, safe for YouTube vibe we've been kind of kicking on. It stars Whoopi Goldberg. It's from 1995. It's called Theodore Rex.
Theodore Rex.
It was awful. I'd heard it was terrible, but man, it was like we had a hard time. Just like if you put a gun to my head and told me what was that movie about, like what was the plot of that movie, I'd be like, I have no idea. Some kind of a mystery about a dinosaur detective trying to solve a dinocide mystery that involves a genetic engineer trying to bring species back from extinction. I don't know. That's pretty much all I could tell you. It was weird and not funny. It was like apparently made for kids, but it's like this convoluted like Chinatown plot. So anyway, I would recommend checking that out with us if you really want to hear us be very confused. And,
yeah, it's a very. I remember seeing the poster for this, and I was just like, "What?"
It was also a shame because I remember it was supposed to be. It was the second largest movie made straight to video because it was originally intended for wide release, but it tested very poorly with test audiences, so they decided to put it to VHS instead. And it was the second most expensive VHS movie ever, besides Jean-Claude Van Damme's Legionnaire. So it was like $35 million straight to video movie. But they were very discouraged when they saw some early footage of Dragonheart. And they were like, holy shit, what are we doing with this puppet dinosaur? I think the best detail in the movie are Theodore's shoes. If you look very carefully, he has these like triplet Converse shoes, like a shoe for each toe.
Yeah.
That was like the only thing in the movie I think we actually liked. Everything else was hot garbage. So enjoy.
I was going to say, did the 3-toe shoe save the day? Clearly not.
All right, guys. Well, thanks for having me. Sorry I had to bounce out, but I'll be back in town this weekend. So next week should be as a normal schedule.
We'll catch you next week.
All right, buddy.
Yeah.
Take it easy,
care, mate.
Bye.
Bye.
Inside Man. I believe you have a couple of. You have 70s and also your favorite decade, the 80s.
Yeah. Okay, so the first one, an Italian Poliziotteschi or Polizieschi, and it's directed by Fernando De Leo, one of my favorite directors, definitely one of the best Italian directors of all time. Great action director. This one's called Blood and Diamonds, and it's from 1977. And it begins with a jewel robbery or a guy that is just safe cracker. So he's just cracking the safe, just stealing these diamonds. He's in the middle of the robbery. And somebody informs the police. You don't know who it is. Suddenly the police turn up. He goes to trial, sent down for 5 years, comes out, and he decides to avenge his incarceration, if you like. So he goes out on the hunt for the people that he suspects is the ones that grassed him up to the police. So he's on this trail of revenge. In the meantime, his boss, his old gang boss, who he accuses and suspects him and his henchmen of being the ones behind his incarceration, he basically threatens his old boss. His boss in return threatens him and tells him to get out of town in 3 days. So, and if he doesn't, he's going to kill him. In the meantime, he's looking for the person or persons who were responsible, and he does believe that it is his old boss. However, on his first day when he's released, he meets up with his old girlfriend, and they get caught up in a bus heist. A bus stick up, and she gets killed. And some of his boss's guys were sort of behind the heist. So he suspects that something quite nasty is going on with him and everybody that he's associated with. However, things aren't quite what they seem, and it's got the most amazing twist to this movie. One of the things that is quite common with these Pulitzer-Teskey movies is this. Now, they're made for a reasonably low budget, and they're made very, very quickly. They're not necessarily just cobbled together, but they're filmed very, very fast. So there are no waste, no indulgences kind of movies. So they get the shots and they, move on to the next one. So they're constantly setting up time and time again. This one is completely different. I mean, this looks considerably different to all of the others, and this is where Fernando de Leo is an absolute master. I mean, it looks like a French noir movie. It looks, it's so well thought through, and it's so beautifully shot. It's, for my money, I think it's actually the best of every single one of the Italian movies that I've reviewed on this show so far. It really is absolutely head and shoulders above everything else that I've spoken about, in terms of its look and its aesthetic. It's really stunning. It's a stunning film. I couldn't recommend this one highly enough. It's just an incredible piece of work. And if you don't know Fernando de Leo, I mean, check out some of his other work. Have a look on IMDb and check out some of his other movies. Another really good one, which has just been released on Radiance Films this month, is Rulers of the City with Jack Palance. Another excellent movie. So that's new from Radiance Films. This one is on 88 Films. It's part of their Italian collection, and I think they're still available. There's only a limited number that they press, but it's a wonderful piece of work. And please do have a look at some of Fernando de Leo's work. He's just an absolute master. I think this was possibly his. I think this was his last Pulitzer-Teskey movie. I think this was his final one. I think he did 8, but this was his final one. But it's a masterful piece of work. It really is. Beautiful, beautiful film. And 10 is the only score I could give this. It's just lovely. It's a lovely film to watch.
I feel we should check out the opening credits. Copyright.
But there's the most incredible fight in this. I mean, it's such a brutal, savage fight. It's a nasty, nasty fight, but so well done. But an ending that I just did not see coming whatsoever. I wouldn't have ever suspected it, not from this subgenre movie. But it's
with any Italian Politeschi movie of this area, you can always guarantee there's a big tash on somebody.
Oh yeah.
So it does not disappoint in the big tash department, which is very important for the inside man.
Yeah.
I
actually have a funny enough, I have a photograph of me in a movie. Oddly enough, it's in a movie with John Lithgow and Geoffrey Rush, where I'm in my full 70s garb, with big hair, nice sort of tash, nice big winged collars, nice brown suit with a kipper tie. So I might actually flash that one up sometime or other. So we'll see.
I think you should wear it on the channel when you come on camera for the first time.
I should.
You can, like, dark glasses, a big fake tash, and a kipper tie. I think that would be a good look for you.
Actually, yeah. Well, that's my usual attire when I walk around the house.
Good to see Adrian Sherlock, one of our 3 members of Outcast Creative Australia, growing rapidly. Actually, since we did that stream with Matt, we've got quite a few now.
Great.
In the chat, good to see you, Adrian. Good to see you. Okay, let's push on. Northern, you've got a couple of things you want to recommend.
Yes, Free Girls, the BBC drama on the Rochdale case from 2012.
Yeah. This is currently available on BBC iPlayer. I think it's also out on Blu-ray. It's the true story of a group of teenage girls who were failed by social services. They were entreated by a group of Asian men into exchanging sexual favors for cigarettes, alcohol, drugs, and kebabs, effectively, and then were basically pimped out to their friends and relatives, and it became a regular thing. Horrendous case, not the only one. There have been many.
Yep, this stuff has been going on way before 2008 when it first happened to the real girls. Maybe 30 years, maybe more than that. And it is a very powerful, a very unsettling drama, and it's not a pleasant watch, but I would highly recommend it. And it's kind of ever since this Adolescence came out, this has been popping up on my feed. I mean, okay, so they're trying to, the government are trying to weaponize this, but they are trying to show adolescents in schools for free, but they are trying to show free girls, though, which actually is touching on a real case, and it isn't sort of changing the ethnicity of the perpetrators. It actually does go honest about who the majority of these people behind these grooming rings are. And this is from the BBC.
Yeah.
They would not do this now. They wouldn't. They would be very afraid of looking Islamist, racist, every single ist under the sun. But this, I'll give credit to the filmmakers. They actually went there because and it's not very prejudiced against them, because we are seeing some people who Pakistani actually defending these girls as well, and are willing to go out and expose these people for who they are. And it is true.
It's a very balanced piece. Absolutely. And very true to the facts. I've done my usual research on the case. This is the sort of drama that I would like to be writing and directing.
What year was this production? What year did this
2017.
2017.
Yeah, and it totally passed me as well. It totally passed me because because the thing is, I wasn't really watching a lot of normal broadcast TV by then. I was kind of just watching the streaming and
cartoons.
And BBC was definitely becoming a little bit more on the leaning towards the left a little bit more during them. But I'll give credit, even back then, this was a ballsy move, and every actor was doing real well, especially Molly Windsor here as the lead role. All the girls do.
She's fantastic, and she's still acting.
I think she is, and the girls are sort of reacting the same. They are banding together to take them on. It's mostly her by herself, and the other girl behind her. Her name's she's got a very European sounding, Eastern European sounding name.
It's Ria Zemroto.
Yes, I don't want to pronounce her name because I don't want to insult her, because she does really well as the girl who's kind of defending one of the groomers, because that's what they do. They brainwash them into thinking that they love them, and into thinking that doing all this disgusting stuff for their friends is a normal thing. And even her sister is very apathetic to it all, because she seems younger and dumber enough to not understand the moral reprehensibility of it, if that's an actual word.
Yeah, the lead actress Molly Windsor in this more recently has appeared in She Said, which is the drama production about the exposure of the Harvey Weinstein scandal. So she's got a small role in that. She has also been acting quite regularly since this, and rightly so. Has pursued her career, several credits in the late 20-teens and also 2021 and 2022. So she was also in the absolutely dreadful 2022 BBC Two or BBC War of the Worlds television series. I thought that was awful.
Yeah. Sometimes, you can be a real good actress, but sometimes you got to do the crap for the money as well. But she's really good in this as well, and you can really see what's happening to her is really tearing her apart. She almost loses her family, and she almost kind of loses all hope as well, because the authorities and the social services are complete irresponsible, just idiots, just pure idiots who do not seem to care. And it's worse when we found out that the authorities, who had all this information but didn't use it. Yeah. I mean, they had DNA on underwear, everything and that, and they still won't use it because of how because of her troubled, because she had she was a bit of a free spirit, a bit of a rebel, all that other stuff, getting drunk so young. The Joe is not going to take her seriously, which it just shows the total irresponsibility of the people who are supposed to be doing their jobs here.
Incidentally, the policeman in the middle here, that is actor Chris Wilson, who's a friend of mine in Three Girls there. So there you go. Yeah.
Is this still available on the iPlayer?
It is.
Still available.
Is it?
I'm actually surprised the BBC have not taken it off yet. Especially
wow, I was just going to say that, mate.
Yeah.
I was just going to say that. I'm surprised they haven't taken this down yet because it doesn't fit in with their current narrative.
No.
Look, Leslie Sharp and Maxine Peake and even Paul Kay. This has got to be Paul Kay's best performance. He is because he's usually he plays a lot of these arseholes all the time, but this time he actually does play a very genuinely decent guy who's really concerned for his daughter, and I really did feel for it. Lisa Riley as well, she's really good. I mean, she's very realistic in this.
Yeah, the acting is first class in this show. I give it a 9 out of 10 myself.
Yeah,
What's your
it's a
rating?
really
I
good
give it a 10 out
recommendation.
of 10. I think if I had one nitpick, I think the ending where the Asian community are really concerned about the racial tensions could have been, the dialogue in that could have been written a little bit more, maybe realistically, because it sounded a little bit so, maybe a little bit preachy, a little bit like the writers were trying to sort of like.
Well, I'm going to have to push you on
it.
that 10 out of 10 rating, because if you've got an issue with something, that's got to knock it down.
It doesn't ruin it, though. I think it's.
I'm not saying it ruins it. 9 out of 10 is a very respectable rating, but is it perfect?
Nothing is perfect, even something really well done. But
well, Band of Brothers is perfect. Sorry, but anyway, yeah, we are going to be doing a special stream. We just decided called "Everything Wrong with Masters of the Air." So, especially as new information has come to light about the inner workings of the production.
Where do we start?
Well, I think the moment Dale Dice said, "Have you ever heard the term woke?" I think we kind of get it already.
Well, there's some interesting things I heard recently, which definitely warrant further discussion. So, fun stuff. Okay. Yeah. Three Girls, high recommendation from the panel. If you haven't seen it, you absolutely should. It's available on BBC iPlayer. Now, if you don't have access to BBC iPlayer, check out The High Seas. Okay. Northern, you got another one. I think you had two, didn't you?
I did watch Idiocracy earlier as well for the first time, and it is very funny. It's Luke Wilson's kind of this desk jockey who's kind of about to lose his job unless he takes an experiment with this prostitute played. I forgot the actress's name though. She's in Bridesmaids, and so they take this little cryostasis thing. But
talking about Maya Randolph.
Yeah, Maya Randolph. That's her. Yeah. She's very funny.
This is the Luke Wilson film from 2006.
Yeah, by Mike Judge as well, and he's basically supposed to be taking part in this cryostasis sort of thing where he's supposed to be in there for a year, but then some stuff happens where his boss gets arrested, and they're in there for a good couple of centuries, and the world has gone to hell. Everybody's become a total dumbass now, and it's crazy. And he's kind of the smartest guy in there, and he has to sort of deal with the fact that everybody's idiots and they see him as a dangerous threat because of how smart he is. And I just love how even when he says just normal things that's even a cohesive sentence, people are like, "Oh, he's so gay! Look at him with his fancy talk." And it's a funny movie. It really is. It's definitely worth watching.
I did see this when it came out, and I remember thinking this is a different role for Maya Randolph, and I really liked her. But I can't remember much else about it, funnily enough. Because it got to bear in mind it's like 18 years ago.
Yeah, I don't know if it's Mike Judge's best movie. I kind of like Office Space better, but it is very funny though. And Luke Wilson does play a very likable everyman who's kind of caught up in this madness. And
this family tree thing 75 years later. This is nuts.
Yeah, because everyone's just pro-producing and not giving a shit or even caring about the consequences.
Okay. What would you give it out of 10?
I give it a little 8 out of 10.
All right. Idiocracy. Is that Michael Ironside on the left?
I
Can't
know.
tell. Is that him? Looks a bit like. No, that's not Michael Ironside. Okay.
That's Mike Judge.
Yeah, that's that's who I meant. Definitely.
I think this might be Maya Rudolph at her hottest here. I don't know.
Quite
She
possibly.
never usually does it for me, but here she did it for me.
I've always thought she's a really I've always thought she's an actress that could do really serious roles. I know she had a bit of she kind of broke out in comedy features, and I think she did a career in stand-up comedy. But I've always thought, like you look at actresses that have had a similar rise, the cast from the female Ghostbusters, which thankfully she wasn't in. I've always thought she's got the acting chops to pretty much do anything. And I'd love to see her in the kind of roles that Meryl Streep gets, or had at the height of her career. But she's a cracking actress. She's got chops. Okay, Inside Man. We know how much you hate the 1980s. So bearing in mind that it's a decade that you told us no good films came out of.
No. I'm
The
gonna
Inside
dispute
Man's
that. I'm gonna
25th
dispute that.
recommendation for the 1980s is.
Right, look,
what's the film?
I can see that my protests are futile for trying to correct
Yes, they
that,
are.
but so I won't.
My
continue
finger's
that.
hovering over the eject button. But
Right,
be careful.
okay.
Right, what's this film?
Were there
This
no
film-
80s movies, Italian 80s movies, or no Italian movies were made in the 80s?
Fortunately, there were. I think we're about to find out.
You guys.
What's this one called?
This is Vigilante.
Oh, yeah, that was
directed by William Lustig, starring Robert Forster and Fred Williamson. Excuse me, a fantastic revenge flick. This is probably one of my all-time favorite movies, let alone one of my all-time favorite 80s movies. It's so Robert Forster, he's married with a young son. Something happens with his wife when she's out and about. A lot of gangsters and street thugs are sort of pretty much on the rampage in the neighborhood, and she defends somebody who's being attacked at a gas station. And of course, they remember her. They follow her back. They find her, get into her apartment, into her house. Things happen with her, and they murder his little son, their little boy, who's just a toddler. And it's actually a pretty horrific killing. I mean, you can never get away with killing a child in a movie these days. And it actually does remind me, the killing of this little boy does remind me of the child death scene in Almost Human, the Italian Pulizzi with Thomas Melian. Very, very similar kind of thing. So Robert Forster's friend or friends, work colleagues, they try to convince him that the only way to take back the streets is to go out with a gun. They have their own little vigilante force, if you like. They try to persuade him to join them. And he says, well, if I go out and do this, then that just makes me as guilty as them. What separates me from these guys? If I'm delivering my own justice and I'm not going to be reliant on the law, then I'm just one of them, surely. But of course, the guy that has killed his son and done things to his wife, he gets off pretty much. And of course, the system has allowed him to walk free. And of course, he attacks the guy. He goes inside. He meets up with somebody, and he kind of comes out a changed man. So, and they try to get to the bottom of where the street thuggery is coming from, and it turns out that it's not necessarily the small fry street thugs that are responsible, but dun dun dun. And that's as far as I'm going to tell you, because you got to watch the movie. It's great. This is a great revenge-matic movie from the 80s. I mean, I prefer this to Death Wish. I enjoyed Death Wish. I think it's a very, very good film. It is one of the best revenge-o-matic vigilante movies. Death Wish 2 and 3, I think, are pretty awful. Death Wish 4 is Death Wish 4. But this is probably the best one. I think it's great. This has got a lot in common with particularly, I think, the blaxploitation movies of the 70s. And it's got a great cast. It's, like I say, well, you can't go wrong. You got Robert Forster, you got Fred Williamson, who's arguably one of the great blaxploitation actors of all time. Yeah, and he's a great actor, just a terrific actor. Fred the Hammer Williamson. Yeah, it's a great action flick. It's a really, really good action flick, and it's very satisfying. You do get that sense of satisfaction at the end when everybody gets their just desserts. It's very, very good. Very, very good movie.
You've got Woody Strode in there
Yeah.
as well. Joseph Carberry on the right. He was in The Godfather, wasn't he?
Who's that?
The guy on the right in the white shirt in this picture. He was in The Godfather, I'm pretty sure.
By Joe Spinell?
Joseph Carberry. I know that we had Joe Spinelli's in it as well. He's been in
Joe Spinell's in it, yeah.
But this guy on the right, I'm sure he's either in one of the Godfather films or
He could be. He could be.
Oh, that's him now. Wow, he looks so different. Let me have a quick look. I just recognize him from another movie.
But this movie was actually inspired by real events with Bill Lustig. I mean,
I might have that wrong.
No, it's not.
Yeah, sorry, he wasn't in The Godfather.
Yeah, I mean, I've still got this on VHS, and it's a great copy on VHS. I got the big sort of clamshell, big box pre-certificate VHS copy. It's an ex-rental. In fact, I've got 3 copies too as a backup, just in case one mangles.
Right.
Always got to have 2 backups just in case. So I've actually, believe it or not, I've actually got them literally under my desk at my feet right now. But I've also got the 88 Films recent restoration of this, recent cleanup of this, which is taken from the original 35mm neg, and it's a wonderful 4K transfer. It's a transfer. It's not been tampered with or manipulated digitally in any way, shape, or form. It's literally just the neg's been cleaned and it's been transferred as a 4K, and it's a beautiful transfer, really, really beautiful transfer. And there's some great documentaries and interviews on this version as well. So, and that's from 88 Films, 88films.com. Have a look. They're pretty well priced, but they only press a limited amount, so they're really worth looking at.
I've got a few 88 films myself.
I think they've got I think Species. There's a new edition of Species, or a special edition of Species that's coming out with 88.
Coincidentally, his is still of Inside Man's Love Bad.
There you go. That's true. That's
inspired by the movie.
That is spot on.
Yeah. The glowing roses and everything.
Yeah.
I think I saw this. It was one of those video rentals that had kind of a, cool cover.
Yeah.
I recognized Robert Foster. Pretty sure we rented it in the early 80s video boom. Carol Lynley was in absolutely everything at one point. She did like episodes of Knight Rider and Baywatch, and I mean, she did like everything on TV, everything. Yeah, this reminds me of Christine with Car on Fire.
Yeah.
I can't sort of remember much about it because I watched so many films around that time. Ramona Brooks, sadly, is no longer with us. She got cancer in her 60s and passed away, which is a great shame.
Mm.
I think Carol Linley is still around. I think, but yeah, but I just can't remember it. Steve James in this as well. So didn't this get re-released by Canon?
I think it was distributed in the US by Canon. Over here, it was Canon Home Video over in the States, but it was Intervision over here.
Right.
Intervision Home Video.
So this is Richard Bright, right? Listen, I was correct. This actor was mislabeled in one of the other stills. This is the actor Richard Bright. He is in The Godfather. He is in The Godfather Part 2. He is in The Godfather Part 3. I knew I was right about that. So yeah, in one of the stills for this film, he is mislabeled as a different actor. But this is Richard Bright. He was also in Red Heat. Had a substantial career as a kind of supporting actor, playing cops and stuff like, things of that nature. But yeah, he was in Godfather 2 and Godfather 3. Played one of the guys that worked for the Corleone family.
Was he the partner was he the partner and Belushi's partner in Red Heat, Lance?
Yeah, who gets shot.
Yeah.
That's who he played. That's absolutely
Wow.
bang on. Yeah. This is what
Love that
Toxic wore when he got out of prison.
I'm wearing that right now. Actually, I have that
red
on.
beret, but pretty close.
Yeah,
good
pretty
man.
close. Yeah, pretty close.
But Fred Williamson is great. I mean, look, the two leads in this, Robert Forster. I mean, he's a great actor. He was such an underused and undervalued actor, I think.
Fred Williamson.
But Robert Forster, really
Robert
underused.
Forster, yeah.
I mean, he's
great
got
that Tarantino gave him a role.
Yeah. I mean, he's got such a lovely manner about him. Not just his style of acting, but if you ever see any interviews with him, he's just such a charming, utterly charming man. But Fred Williamson, I mean, I absolutely idolize Fred Williamson. I really do. I think he's a wonderful actor. He looks great even now. I mean, it's like this, this big, burly sort of ex-football player, really good-looking, black actor particularly of the 70s. So you had Fred Williamson, Jim Kelly, and Jim Brown, who were like, the holy trinity of blaxploitation movies.
I'm gonna get you, sucker.
Yeah. And it's just, I mean, but he was always my favorite, Fred Williamson. I mean, he was in the original Inglourious Bastards as well.
Yeah, he's still going, isn't he? He's still alive.
Yeah. So I think he was in quite a few Enzo Castellari movies. Actually,
He was
quite a few of the.
He was in the New Barbarians.
Yeah.
Inside Man, did you know Robert Forster made a pretty good living doing audiobooks? He was the narrator for a lot of audiobooks, a lot of my favorite ones. He's probably, of all the audiobooks I've listened to, he's my favorite narrator.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So what did he read any particular authors or?
He's a big with John Lee Burke and the Hitman series, which is
yeah, I know the series.
Ali, what's his name? His name is escaping me, and I'm sorry, I've not had enough caffeine today. But not the video game shenanigans, but the book series, Keller the Hitman.
Yeah.
He narrates it so well because he has that kind of whimsical, but at the same time no bullshit voice of his. And the entirety of the audiobooks for the Keller Hitman series is done by him. And
I'm going to look those up actually on Audible. I mean, he does have a great voice. He was such a lovely actor, really, really lovely actor.
Lawrence Block.
Lawrence
Block. God, why did I forget that?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, wonderful actor. I mean, everybody. I mean, if you watch any of the documentaries on the special features, They talk about Robert Forster and what a truly lovely man he was. And
Yeah.
really generous to the rest of the crew.
He
Very,
played
very
the
supportive.
he played the Dennis Farina character in the TV version of Karen Cisco based on the Get Shorty novels.
Oh, did he?
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Only Dennis Farina can play that character, man.
Yeah.
But
That's interesting. That's really interesting.
all right, we're gonna move on because for whatever reason, somebody wants to talk about Yellow Jackets.
I'm glad Enzo is not here because this would be the part where Enzo started cringing because he hates mystery box shows and he hates that I made him watch season 1 of this show.
Toxic. What do you make me watch the show for?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's they're closing in. They're finally they've done such a brilliant so it is a mystery box show. It's about a bunch of teenage girls graduating class in 96, which is my graduating class, from New Jersey. They go to finals, or not finals, but nationals. And the plane crashes in some unknown Canadian wilderness. And it's sort of a Alive meets the Donner Party meets 90210 type thing a little bit and there's a big controversy whether or not the things that are going on are supernatural or are they all in the girls' heads because of a myriad of reasons. This is this thing, and I think you and I discussed this once before, Lance, but the casting director, if they had not been given some sort of an award, I don't know what, I guess an Emmy for casting, the teenage actresses are doppelgangers of the adult present day versions of themselves. It's
Right.
just so good. I mean, it's scary good. And yeah, it's ramping up. It was second season was a little meandering. I was getting a little bit sunk cost fallacy setting in with me. I was like, all right, if they need to start making some sense because it's a mystery box show and I'm not going to go down the path I did with Lost and Twin Peaks, but they're bringing it back to status quo in the third season, and apparently the fourth season is going to be it. The season finale is coming out this week of season 3, and it's been pretty revealing so far.
Okay. I mean, is this the last season?
They'll do one more after this. So yeah, this is season 3 now, about to end, and I guess in 2026 we'll get the final season, is my understanding.
I just don't know if I want to commit to seeing.
I hear you.
4 seasons of 2 timelines of girls whinging about shit, or some of them may or may not kill each other, running around the woods for fear of, because we all got kind of fucked over by Lost. And
yeah, no, we did. Yeah, we did.
It sounds a bit too, do I want to go down another Lost path? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think I've said this before, but it bears repeating. I think with Lost, it came out right when the internet was, 2003 and 4, when it was really ramping up, and I think people figured out the twist in Lost really quickly, and the writers started to scramble and then just kind of painted themselves in a corner and didn't really know what they wanted to do, and then kind of circled it back. My understanding of this is that the writers for this show had a 4-season plan of exactly what they were going to do. They got delayed a little bit by the SAG strikes and all that business, and of course the pandemic. But beyond that, they knew they had a 4-season thing mapped out, and they knew exactly how they wanted to start it and end it. So how much truth there is to that, I couldn't say. I don't have as much industry insider knowledge that you do. So I have to just kind of go off of bits and pieces here and there, but it seems that is true. So whether or not it is, and if nothing else, the performances are, they're great. And Melanie Linsky,
I do like Melanie Linsky. We've talked about her on the channel before in other things.
She's so great. She can make you love her and feel sorry for her, and then in the next scene you can despise her and just be like I'm disgusted with her. And the girl that plays the teenage version of her, Sophie Nélisse, she's amazing. And the way that the younger version Sophie Thatcher plays the young version of Juliette Lewis. She is becoming Juliette Lewis over the course of these 3 seasons. It would be worth it. I could recommend the show just for that performance alone, because Sophie Thatcher, she's up and coming. She's been in a bunch of stuff recently, Boogeyman, Companion, like that. And she is definitely, whoops, sorry, my phone went off. She's definitely like channeling Juliette Lewis. It's amazing. And Samantha Hanratty right there that you just witnessed, she plays a young Christina Ricci. She's amazing as well. So I mean, I get it. And you know, I guess I at the end of the day have a little affinity for it, just due to the fact that you know, I would have went to high school with these girls. Also the fact that the adult versions of them were teenage actresses when I was a teenager, so I've kind of watched them grow up. So in that way, like I've seen Christina Ricci and Casper when I was a kid. I seen, you know, Melanie Linsky, you know, when she was younger, and in the stuff that she did, of course, Juliette Lewis, like that. So you know, it's very interesting. And now watching these other young actresses play them is pretty cool. So you know, I don't want to get, there's not much I can really say beyond the generic plot, because if I do, then it gives way too much stuff away, and it is a mystery box show. If that's not your bag and you don't like that, definitely skip it, give it a pass. But I think down to just the performances, I can give it a pretty hard recommend. But again, I like I said, if you're not comfortable with a I can only kind of do one mystery box show at a time. You know what I mean? Like I don't have the, you know, because this has been going on since 2021. So I totally understand you not wanting to invest the time in it. And
What's
stuff.
your overall rating on this show to date?
I feel comfortable enough to give it an 8 out of 10 right now, just down to the performances. I would have preferred them wrapping it up this year. I would have been happy with that. I'm really not looking forward to waiting until 2026 to do it, but you know, I will do a wrap up of it when it's done. Right now, I can at least give it an 8 out of 10, just based on, like, even if they ended it right now, I could give it a solid 8. So.
Adrian Sherlock wants to know, is this a summary of the plot? Women are tough and amazing. Girls are tragic victims. Boys are homicidal maniacs.
No, it's not. It's not that. And listen, trust me, if the Lord of Toxicity would not, you know, recommend something that was doing that formulaic shit. I mean, it is a lot of female actresses. I mean, you know, I get it, but
yeah,
you know, I've actually been avoiding this. I've actually really been avoiding this because I thought, you know,
I don't blame you.
you know, I don't like the look of this. But I'll level with you. The way you've described it and gone through the show, you've really sold me on it. And yeah, I do want to see this, and I'm really willing to invest that amount of time in this show. I really am.
Great. I look forward to your thoughts, Inside Man, when you come back and tell us what you think.
Yeah, I'm sold on this. Yeah.
Well, all right.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
No
All
problem.
right. Okay. Yellow Jackets, as recommended by Lord Toxic. The rest of the panel has not yet seen it. We claim no responsibility should you endanger yourself.
I love
But
the
please
faith.
feel free.
Thank you for the faith in me, Lance.
No, I have every faith that you believe it's an amazing show. Okay. No, I mean, listen, I saw the first 3 episodes and I thought, this is okay. What else is on? That's kind of as far as I got.
That's fine. Listen, that's totally fair. It's at this day and age, I completely acknowledge the fact that you're giving a lot of trust for a pay TV streaming service that is not. It's a little on the neat, you know, Showtime, Paramount, whatever, however it is that you would get this, you know, depending on what region you live in. I totally get that it's a big investment to do a mystery box show in this day and age. So listen, no shade thrown at any. It's not one of those things like, no, you got to watch this. This is the best, you know, no, definitely not. But I think a lot of these young actresses that are in this, that play the teenage versions, I think we're going to, we already have seen a lot of good things from Sophie Thatcher and Sam Hanratty. So I think that we're going to see, if you want to know who's going to be the up and comers, I think they're in this show. So.
Okay. Yeah, you heard it here first. I did think the acting was very good when I watched it, so I will agree with you there. I just haven't seen enough of it to comment further. People in the chat are talking more about Lost than Yellow Jackets. Rob Faulkner says, I really didn't like Yellow Jackets. I gave up after series 1. So not glowing reports, but we'll see. Adrian prefers Land of the Lost. Cheap but cool. All right. We'll move on. Northern, I think you had one other one to recommend.
I think we've already mentioned it. I think it was Get Shorty, but since we already have, I think I'll mention Heat because I just rewatched that again last Friday and I can't get bored of this movie. Every time I watch it, I just love it. I just love how just precise these characters are, how fleshed out they are. I like the fact that the main cop and the main criminal that's being sort of stuck in this cat and mouse game are basically the flip sides of the same coin, except one is a little bit more, a bit more calmer, a bit more calculated, while the other is a bit more kind of manic. And it's also hinted that his character is actually on cocaine, but you never see it because you don't need to see Al Pacino's character snort cocaine. You kind of get the idea as well. But these are two guys that could have normal lives, but are kind of stuck doing what they love most, and that is, Macaulay taking scores while Hannah is basically out hunting criminals. They both can't really escape what the only thing they know how to do. And it's and once again, I kind of like the fact that these are full-on good guys and villains. They're just both guys on the opposite sides of the law, and that's it.
Heat features in my book, Silver Screen Journeys. Don't know if you've got to that entry yet. I'm going to assume that's a no.
And I'll have to get down to that, yeah.
Yeah, it's fairly early on in the book, so get reading, Northern. So I took 22 people to see this on the opening night in Leicester Square, and the only thing I knew about the movie, because the trailer was quite the trailer for Heat that dropped in the UK was very short, and it showed very little other than you saw Robert De Niro about to fire a gun through a car windscreen, and Al Pacino had a gun. And it wasn't widely known at that time that this movie, Heat, was a remake of LA Takedown, which was a straight-to-video version of Heat that Michael Mann made right off the back of the money that he made from season 1 and 2 of Miami Vice. And LA Takedown.
I've watched the first half. It's pretty bad.
I've got it. I've got a copy of it. I mean, it dropped in '88. It's okay. There's one actor that's in both Heat and
I think he plays Todd in Terminator 2. I forgot the name of the actor, but he plays Windrow in the original, doesn't he? And he plays the guy who's sleeping.
He's one of the cast of Miami Vice, I think.
Yeah,
he's been on there as well. He's played a few scumbags in Miami Vice.
Yeah, he's also dead.
What I love about Heat, and it's the thing that separates the men from the boys, is that it takes its time. And some people that criticize the film say the film is too slow and too boring, right? And I say, bollocks, you don't know what you're talking about.
Definitely don't.
And I had a massive argument with someone about this.
I mean, one of my favourite, one moment that really establishes what Robert De Niro's character is like is when he first meets Amy Brenneman's character.
Yeah. That scene is brilliant.
She's been very kind to him and just being very polite, because he doesn't know how to act around normal people. All he knows is about fucking tactics, planning, and strategy.
His attitude changes when he realizes she's not a cop, but he thinks she's a cop at first.
Yeah.
But the whole reason this film is so good is because I'll tell you what it is when you get to the heist and the bank robbery scene, you are rooting for characters on both sides at the same time, and that for the audience is really confusing. And I can't think of a film that has done that this effectively before Heat nor since. You are so invested in some of the members of the, you want Val Kilmer to get away, you want Robert De Niro to get away, you want Al Pacino's character to get the bad guys at the same time. It's a real that's the brilliance of the film. It's so clever, and the reason that you are that invested is because the film takes its time to get you there. If the film was 30 minutes shorter, you wouldn't be so emotionally tangled up by the end of the film.
It's a movie that's as much about the journey as it is about the destination.
I know, and it's kind of sad as well because, spoiler alert, Al Pacino, when he does get Robert De Niro, it's like he's pretty much had to take down the only guy that understands him, because he's no different to De Niro's character. He's kind of obsessed with what he likes doing. It's kind of consumed his any chance he has of having a normal life. And I love that De Niro sticks to his principles as well. Like, don't get attached to anything. You can't walk out in 30 seconds flat. And
did you know at the end? At the end,
30 seconds. He actually does take.
If you time it, it's 30 seconds from when he spots Pacino that he hauls ass. So
and he loves this woman as well. He really does love this woman. He's willing to go to New Zealand with her as well and have a normal life, but. No, he doesn't compromise himself. He doesn't let his dick rule his judgment. That is so good. That is
if he'd not turned off to the airport, he would
get Wayne Grove, played by Kevin Gage, who is probably the only actual real villain in this movie because he's a psychopath. He is. And I love how Val Kilmer just opens fire as well when he sees the coppers on the street. He's like, he doesn't hesitate. He goes straight in there and listen, we're being compromised. We've got to fucking haul ass and open fire. We've got no choice. I love it.
It's without doubt one of the best, if not the best, action sequences. Certainly the best heist sequence ever in any heist.
The most
movie.
realistic, anyway.
Yeah. And they trained for weeks to do this. And I think one of the guys from Bravo 20 was
it was Andy McNabb.
Andy McNabb.
Yeah, he trained them,
I actually tried to get Kaya Sorkin, who plays the hooker that Kevin Gage murders. I tried to get her. She's on my friends list. I tried to get her to come on to do an interview about working on Heat. But sadly, I didn't get a response, which is a shame because, this is without a doubt one of my favorite films of all time. I would definitely put it in my top 10. It's my favorite heist movie. It's my favorite Val Kilmer movie. I don't know that it's my favorite Robert De Niro movie. I'll have to think about that a bit more. Definitely my favorite Val Kilmer movie. My favorite Tom Sizemore movie. It's up. Al Pacino, probably Scent of a Woman is probably the one I'd put atop this for him. But it's up there. It's up there.
No, and it's kind of got this. It's almost euphoric as well. The way it's shot, the way it's shoot, the way you see like the full scale of LA. The music that plays with it. I don't know how Michael Mann's done it, but
Michael Mann can make LA come alive like no other director.
He can, he almost makes it feel very dreamlike. It's another. I think the only guy to actually. Almost kind of come close to that was probably the guy who directed Nightcrawler, because he kind of does the same thing with LA here, makes it almost dreamlike despite the fact it's a very dark and murky film.
Vex Electronica posted recently like a poll. She was like, what is your favorite movie? Like she just put out like a random question like that, and at the time I was like, what a ridiculous question. How could you ask a bunch of us YouTubers what's your favorite movie? But if you put a gun to my head, I would say it would be Heat. I think Heat is probably, if you make me pick, I will say Heat. I've watched Heat easily 30 times. I've done at least half a dozen YouTube videos and discussions, including one with Northern English Bastard, and I just cannot. I didn't think it was going to be worth it, but I did read the sequel book that they're basing the next movie on, and it was very well done. If they stick to the source, it might really be something. I'm cautiously optimistic about it, but yeah, Heat is just, I could go on and on. We don't have the time, but if you ever do a deep dive, Lance, I would love to chop it up with you because I bet you got a lot of great knowledge about this film.
I absolutely love this movie. I mean, this movie's an 11 out of 10 for me.
Facts. Facts.
The soundtrack I've got on now, which I may well get struck off for, is one of the soundtracks from one of the pieces from the film, and it's really not a piece of score in the traditional sense. This is very much heading in the direction that Hans Zimmer would take his soundtracks in the late 2000s. But what this does, this piece of music, is it's like the pumping heart of Los Angeles. That's what it represents. It's that ambient neon kind of light, like light pollution, cars, freeways. That's what this sound represents, but also the ocean, you know, the really short divide between rich and poor. You can read it all into this music. And
who scored this? Who actually scored this
I
piece?
think it was Elliot Goldenthal, wasn't it?
Elliot Goldenthal, really?
Goldenthal, that's it. Yeah, like I said,
Wow.
it makes LA feel very dreamlike, even though it's a very violent action thriller.
I put this soundtrack on a lot when I write.
well, that's so weird that you said that, because I was about to say exactly the same thing. When I was still living with my ex-partner, it was very difficult, and I was trying to work, which was also very difficult. Yeah, Elliot Goldenthal is correct. This was when I was writing. It was the beginning of the Silver Screen Journeys book, but I also was doing, I think, one of the Paratrooper scripts and a couple of other things. And there's an 8-hour version of this online, just on repeat, basically. And I would take this particular one, someone mixed up, and I would play it at the beginning of the day. And when it finished, I would know I was done, and I would use it to tune out the presence of other people in the same place as me. And it was, I mean, it worked, but at the same time, it filled me with sadness, because this piece of music became to represent the death of that relationship. And I find it quite hard to listen to it now, but I do put it on from time to time.
Yeah, it's very melancholy. I agree.
Yeah, very much so. It can take you from a positive to a negative headspace and back again within a few minutes, because it's almost like this kind of slow roller coaster, but it is very LA, and that's what I like about Michael Mann as a director. I think LA and Last of the Mohicans are probably the two films of his that do this the best. Is that the terrain is its own character. The setting of his movies are very much a character, and he really brings them to life, often underscoring them with the music, and which kind of becomes the blood. Drew Gordon's mentioned The Keep. I mean, that's a oddity of a film, but brilliant in its own way, but also it also has faults, but it's worth checking out if you haven't seen it.
Lovely score. I mean, a really lovely and interesting piece of music. And he's a very intellectual composer, Elliot Goldenthal. And he's done some fantastic work in the past. I mean, this is I do have this soundtrack, but if I'm honest, I mean, I really like his darker stuff. He's very, very dark and gothic kind of stuff. Things like Interview with the Vampire, Alien 3, I think is one of the finest pieces of music ever been committed to film. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful score. But he's a great composer, and what a fantastic partnership between somebody like Michael Mann and Elliot Goldenthal. Really, you couldn't have had anybody better to be paired with.
30 years.
Yeah.
30
also
years.
Like sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
It also seems like the ideal film to watch before you go to bed. I don't know why. It's just one of those things where I can sort of just mellow out with this movie as well. Especially when it comes to the ending with that last shot where Al Pacino's stood holding the hand of De Niro once he dies. I don't know why. I could just switch it off and then go to bed and just feel really relaxed.
Nice.
Be aware that if you watch the version of this on, I forget if it's Amazon or Netflix, it has been edited for violence. So I refuse to watch Heat on any streaming service. I will only watch the original copy of it that I have.
Yeah.
The bullet hole shot on Wayne Grove's head is usually the thing that's cut out.
Long live physical media.
Yeah, the Mozambique.
Go out and buy it. Go out and buy physical media. You will never get anybody censoring that. The way that we have all of the streaming services that constantly censor and cut out all these little bits and pieces that, because they think that our poor little hearts are, just going to stop because we're so sensitive.
I don't think that's why they do it. I would submit to you that they don't really give a shit about our sensitivity or anything like that. I think they do it just as a measure of control because they can do it.
It's lip service. It's part of the look how virtuous we are. We really are quite virtuous. We have your interests at heart.
Right. Very similar to those knobheads that are crying about the Timothy Dalton parts in 1923 right now.
That's such bollocks.
The clutching of the pearls.
Yeah.
What I'd like to do is, we're technically out of time, but fuck it. I'd like to segue this into a little bit of a Val Kilmer dedication. We lost him this week. He was only in his 60s. We kind of all knew it was coming. He was diagnosed with incurable throat cancer some time ago.
Yeah.
It was pneumonia, wasn't it? I actually thought it was going to be the cancer that kills him, or was it kind of from?
Well, I think if you've got other health issues, pneumonia can take you. I've had it twice this year already, and I'm still coughing now. So there you go. Kilmer's an interesting actor because the first thing I saw him in was Top Secret.
Yeah, I love that movie.
Made by the guys that did Airplane. And then I think I saw him in a film called Real Genius.
God, I love that movie.
Yeah, and then Top Gun, kind of those three in a relatively short space of time.
Well, they all came out within a year of each other, so.
The Top Secret came out in 84, I think.
Yeah, and then 85 was Real Genius, and then 86 was Top Gun.
Top Gun, yeah. So, and I remember the girl that would become my first girlfriend. We saw Top Gun together. That's also in the book, that section. I think I commented that we knew Val Kilmer was going to be massive. How did I know? Because she talked about him and nothing else the whole way home. And how much. What charisma he had. He had that kind of boyish, cheeky, sort of naughty, all of those, that sort of perfect blend of stuff that teenage girls like in a guy. He's good looking, but he's also a bit dangerous. And the eyes, the hair, all of that. Of course, he had a reputation, which I don't think was entirely unjustified. I've got 5
he took his craft very seriously, and I think he had a bit of an argument with Joel Schumacher, and that's why he didn't reprise his role as Batman and in Batman and Robin, which was probably a blessing for him as well, because God, that film was awful, and he was a good Batman, but the movie deserved. He was way too good in a movie that wasn't good enough.
I am, funnily enough, I know this is a very unpopular opinion. I preferred that Batman film to the second one with the Penguin and Catwoman.
I'll go along with you on that one. I think that the second one, Michael Keaton and Michelle Pfeiffer's performances aside, I enjoy Batman Forever. The last great summer of my life. before I started having kids and shit. And yeah, Batman
I
Forever.
mean, because
Very
it was Jim Carrey as the Riddler, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But
And you
Tommy
had
Lee
the
Jones is Two-Face. God,
you had the Batboat. You had the Batboat in it for the first time, which was kind of cool.
Chris O'Donnell as Robin, and yeah, it's good.
I think Val Kilmer was very good. I think he really did want to play this role right. It's just the bloody script is terrible, and it kind of took away that gothic industrial nightmare for these very clean little visuals, which really didn't really work. I mean, I like my Batman, I like my Gotham cities to look like shit-outs.
Hot take, I still say Spartan is his best performance, but
you guys did a stream on Spartan.
We did.
I thought I was the only person that liked that movie. Let alone
I
seen
love that movie. I love that movie. It's one of my favorite Mammoth dialogue films. It's so good. It's so accurate.
Yeah,
it's basically if Chris from Heat actually did run off and have to take some more contract jobs as well, and couldn't see his wife.
Well, yeah, I mean it's the precursor for the TV show The Unit, which I also was in love with. So and it's just done, just under. I know it's blasphemy. I know everyone says that his take on Doc Holliday, and I wouldn't really argue or take that away from anybody. But as far as being a veteran and being in forces and stuff like that, being a former paratrooper, Spartan is just, and plus you add in the David Mamet dialogue, and it's just incredible.
Yeah, Red Planet, not such an incredible film.
Never seen it.
Yeah, I think he was having like a string of flops around that time, though, wasn't he?
I think he did do a string of flops, right? Yeah, he had more than a few.
Yeah. I mean, Red Planet was, him and Tom Sizemore fucking offset and causing a lot of problems. I was never a fan of the Doors movie. I've got to be honest.
Neither was I. Yeah,
the only Oliver Stone movie that I really don't like, and I just didn't really want to see a film that looked like it had been shot by someone who'd taken a lot of drugs. I wanted to see an actual film about the Doors. And I get that they did do a lot of drugs, and that's why he died young. But it wasn't for me as a movie. I completely forgot that Meg Ryan was in that film. But yeah, and there's Alan Graff, who we interviewed on the channel.
Nice.
On the left. Yeah, I don't think I knew or asked him anything about this movie. I don't think. Yeah, Kilmer's best performance for me is probably Heat. I haven't seen him in. I have seen him in Mindhunters. That's 2004, not the TV show. I have seen that. Island of Dr. Moreau is a really fucking bizarre movie.
Didn't the director get fired and then turn up disguised as an extra just to call him an asshole?
He didn't speak to the director. He went down onto the set in a costume to see what was going on and see.
You got to admit that's enough to be. That's a pretty cool story, to be honest.
Yeah, I met Richard Stanley. He told me that story himself in his old flat he lives in France now, but he used to have a flat just near Tower Bridge, and a friend of mine, Gail, knew him. I think her name was Gail. I might get that wrong. I don't know. That time is all a bit vague. But we went to his flat and talked about movies and the Island of Dr. Moreau. One of the first questions I said to him was, "What was working with Val Kilmer like?" "He was a total arsehole," was his response. I was like, okay. And that was the first time I'd heard a negative thing about Val Kilmer. I'm afraid it wasn't the last. Val Kilmer did a play in London, I think in the early 2000s, I want to say. Might have been around 2005, maybe a bit later. And I think it was, can't remember if it wasn't The Graduate, but it was something like that. And, like a 3-4 hander. And my casting director was involved in that production somehow. She might have been the casting assistant on it to the main casting director. And anyway, Val Kilmer was in it. And I said, "So what's he like?" And she said, well, let me put it this way. Val Kilmer's understudy is getting to go on stage quite a lot. And I was like, oh. And she said, yeah, he's not there very often. And there'd been arguments and he turned up drunk. And so I think he came to do a play in London because people thought it would be good for him and he would pull his socks up and get, put himself together. That didn't happen. But I think, thank you for the super chat. Finn Wolfhard film wasn't bad. It was just average. But I think really Kilmer's apology is that movie that he made, that documentary.
Val?
Yeah.
You mean Val?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I
is
like
it.
it.
That is him basically apologizing for a lot of shit. And, he knew he was on borrowed time. And he went and made that film. And he sort of, he wasn't making excuses for his behavior in it. He certainly told his perspective on a few things. And I thought fair play. It's good to hear your side, but it's also good to see you eat a bit of humble pie and say, actually, yeah, I didn't behave.
I like that he didn't seem to feel sorry for himself with what
No, not at all. No.
Have you seen his cameo in Life's Too Short, where he basically plays an insane version of himself? He keeps showing up with this Batman mask saying, it's my trick. Everybody likes it, and nobody gets it. Nobody gets it whatsoever.
I've seen that.
Yeah, it's very funny in it.
I think that was also...
I'm sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that was part of his whole I'm willing to take the piss out of myself,
Yeah.
Journey back to redemption kind of thing.
Yeah, he even leaves Warwick Davis to pick up the check after he runs out.
Well, he's the pretty much the main character in Heat 2. I don't know.
Yeah, he is. So I'm interested in how
did you read it?
Well, Heat
Did you read
2's
it?
got two timelines. It's one set in the past with a young Macaulay,
Right.
and then set in the present with Chris Shuris trying to escape. The way I think they should do it is they should have they should definitely have young actors playing these characters, and we should have an actor who they should probably look for someone who looks like Val Kilmer, who could do who could almost be a body double for him, but also is a really good actor to play him in the present day timeline.
Could his son play Val Kilmer as well? Because I know he dubbed for his father in a few of his last few.
I don't know if his son is an actor.
Well, he has dubbed for his dad a couple of times, because he obviously Val couldn't speak then because he had the throat cancer thing, and so his son would dub his lines.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know either. But no, I would I would not disagree with that. I didn't even know that you'd read it, Lance.
Yeah, it's on the shelf right behind me. In my room. In my
it's part of my intro and my consider the source. I hold it up and talk about it. But yeah, I've not met anybody else that is that's read it. And I think if they stick to it and they can make it work within the dual timeline thingy, it could be pretty interesting. I've heard rumors of who or may not be in it. Oh yeah, awesome.
Look at that. And it's you can see that's a well-worn
Yeah,
copy.
no, it's a good book.
And do you know, when I read this at home, I would have that soundtrack playing in the background while I was reading the book as well, which was amazing.
Luke, the audiobook version is very good as well. The guy that reads it is pretty good.
Yeah, send me the link to it as well, and I'll try and check it out. So
okay,
read this book
on Amazon. Just put Heat 2 and you'll find it on Michael Googley. So if you haven't seen Spartan, definitely check that out. It's one of Val Kilmer's best. I wouldn't bother with The Island of Dr. Moreau.
Yeah.
Just check out Drinker's video on production hell. It's probably much more tolerable.
Or even better, I mean, if you want to really look into the island of Dr. Moreau, the amazing family documentary, Lost Soul, which is a fantastic how not to make a movie documentary.
Check
Yeah.
that. I like watching. I kind of like have a morbid fascination with these filmmakers that try and set out to do something and just totally fail due to egos, self-delusion, etc.
It mainly stems from, unfortunately, it stems from when a project is handed over to a director, then it's in the hands of the director. If you don't allow the director to use his own vision with that piece of work, whether it's a screenplay or a full production, even if the director hasn't written the screenplay, they have to do their own interpretation. It's really down to the director. Once you hand that baby over, it's no longer yours. It becomes a piece of work that is, an interpretive piece of work, rather than something that is absolutely set in stone. I mean, and most screenwriters, with experience, they don't deal in absolutes. They don't, they know that once it's handed over, then it's in the lap of the gods, or certainly in the lap of the person that's interpreting their work.
Yeah.
Where the problem really lies is when writers start to try and get themselves involved, particularly if they happen to be executives. If they get themselves an executive producer credit and they start to throw their weight around a little bit. And of course, then you have other executives, and then you have, as Northern was saying, the egos of some of the actors. And Val Kilmer, unfortunately, doesn't come off particularly well in The Island of Dr. Moreau. Certainly in the making of that, he wasn't a particularly pleasant person at that time.
That was almost 30 years ago, though.
Yeah.
Brando wasn't exactly a walk in the park either. Apparently,
No, he wasn't.
He was totally bonkers on that set as well.
I mean, Brando was, he was the selling point. It was because it was originally, I think, if memory serves me correctly, that the Val Kilmer role was due to be taken by Bruce Willis. So it was going to take a completely different path. But of course, Val Kilmer, there's no getting away from the fact that, if you look at something like The Doors, I mean, he's absolutely outstanding in The Doors. I mean, outstanding. I think it's one of his finest works, one of his greatest performances. That.
Yeah, he's good in it. I just didn't care for the movie.
I actually rather like it. I got quite a soft spot for that movie. But yeah, it's a shame that we didn't get the movie that was intended. And it is, there are so many different egos that are sort of bouncing around a set particularly when you have people that have never heard the word no in their career, and they reach a kind of a pinnacle in their career, and they don't like hearing that word. And they certainly don't like being ordered or told what to do and where they're going wrong. As far as they're concerned, they're always right.
Yeah.
But there you go. That's. But if you haven't seen Lost Souls, the amazing documentary on the making of The Island of Dr. Moreau, go out and watch it. It's probably the best that there is. A really good companion piece to Lost in La Mancha, the Terry Gilliam documentary.
Fair enough.
All right, we're gonna start to wrap things up. Just gonna mention an industry interview that I've got tomorrow night. Sticking with the Outcast creative mantra of supporting people that are not so well known, shall we say. I've got quite a few coming up. I've got an actor coming on who's got a play on in London fairly soon. I'm bringing them on to do a little interview, talk about their play, and plug the play, of course. And I've got somebody else who's making a little film. They've got a crowdfunding show, so they'll be coming on to talk about that. That's in a couple of weeks. But more immediately, continuing interviewing various people from the rave house music scene. I've got DJ WizKid coming on tomorrow, who's a particularly interesting character, been around for a long time. And then I think before the end of the week, possibly on Friday, I might be having a really big name from the same world coming on Friday for an interview. It might even be next Friday, but I think it's going to be this week. But again, I try not to put things up against my fellow YouTube collaborators, but when it comes to industry interviews, I just have to go with the dates and times that the guests are available. So it may well be this Friday at 8 o'clock, but we shall see. But tomorrow at 8 o'clock, I've got DJ WizKid coming on, going to be talking about all things about the rave scene. This, of course, will be tying into my next book, Back to Raving at 50, which will be coming out later this year, in a few months, actually, because it's well on its way. So, yeah, Mr. Bastard, have you got anything you want to plug real quick?
This Friday, 7 p.m, I will be joined by Enzo and anyone else who wants to jump on for David Brent, Life on the Road.
Okay. Toxic, anything?
Did an interview yesterday with the Eclectic Goat author interview. I thought it went very well. Unfortunately, I was in between offices, so I was at the public library in one of their little study rooms, and there's a bit of an echo with my voice. And she streams on some other thing that's not StreamYard, and it wouldn't allow me to use any of my little tools and stuff. So other than that, if you have a chance, by all means sub to her channel and go ahead and take a look. I thought the questions were very good, and she was a very gracious host and asked a lot of great stuff, and I had a good time. And yeah, she's definitely somebody you want to look at. Eclectic Goat.
All right, we will do that. This Sunday we may have a Chew the Fat. That'll be confirmed within the next couple of days. There's a couple of things up for grabs at the moment, including season 1 of Larry David's Curb Your Enthusiasm, which I'll be doing at some point. We're going to be doing Band of Brothers Pacific later this year, which will be a more detailed breakdown. So that will take place over several episodes. We'll be doing a special Everything Wrong with Masters of the Air, Chew the Fat. Of course, as you know, we did a weekly stream on it when it dropped. I rewatched the entire show recently with one question on my mind: was it as shit as I remember? And really, the main conclusion that I came to was no. It was actually worse than that. I was trying to be nice and constructive before, but the plot holes are even more glaring on repeated watches, because you're not trying to digest everything. You can sort of step back and go, okay, why is this here? And yeah, it's a pretty bad show. And it also, by the way, cost Apple a huge amount of money. It lost money for Apple. Most people did not watch all of the series. Most people gave up by episode 3. So there you are. Anyway, I do like to focus on the positive, though, on this channel. So I won't be doing loads of things like that. I do like to focus on recommending things that you should see, talk about shows that you should watch. Plenty of other people talk about stuff. But
refreshing.
But I do feel we have to single that show out because it had the potential to be amazing. It should have been amazing. It had a lot of money spent on it. It had a first-rate cast. Yet somehow it was massive pantaloons. And I think I've got a pretty good idea of why. And 2 words: meddling producers. But we'll get into that. Trust me, we'll get into that when I talk about it another time. Okay, that's it from us on the Outcast Creative. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you've got a creative project, get in touch. I'll see what I can do about getting you on to give it a plug. In the meantime, don't forget to talk to the people that you care about. Tell them you love them, and we'll see you all again real soon.